Hi everyone, Stefan here. Welcome to the stream. We are going to make some more pixel art tonight, and I think let me get the mic right. Should be alright. And tonight we're gonna make Madmax from the film of the same name, 1979. It was a George Miller movie, and it was the beginning of a franchise. Now 4 movies, latest one that came out in 2015, but what I'm gonna do, I think, is Mad Max as he appears in Mad Max 2. The Road Warrior, which was a title that they use in the US, but only because they weren't sure that people would want to see a sequel to Mad Max, so they kind of try to rebrand the title a little bit in the US. So yeah, film came out in '79. I have a version that I did, a small one. Let me show you. That was based on a pose that was similar to this, but a little different, with the gun out. And let's see where he is. There. So that was the super small version with the little dog. So I think I'm going to try and do something similar. I kind of like this pose. It's a bit of a motion to it, but it's a bit bland, so I might have to adjust that a little bit. We'll see. I think I'll probably change the arm and have him hold the gun. This one, it's sort of a sawed-off shotgun. So I think I'll probably do that. I kind of debate if I should take this guy as a starting point, or simply start from some other character, maybe like a bigger, maybe. Maybe I could start from Terminator. There's similarities. I think we're going to do that instead of taking the small sprite. They're hard to upscale, those little super simple sprites, the very small ones. So I think they're only 32 pixel high. I think I'm gonna take the Terminator here. So just have to find him. Terminator. We'll copy him, and we'll bring him over. We'll try and do something with that. So it's an interesting. It's a good character. It's got a lot of character, a lot of personality. It's funny because you see, this is Mel Gibson in the first Mad Max, and it was a very small budget movie. Only somewhere around $400,000, which is really not that big, considering even with the inflation. And it was done in Australia, and they had their budget was so limited that they couldn't afford real leather for all the police uniforms. So all this stuff, and you see it looks kind of a little squeaky clean and a little cheap, and you can definitely tell that it's not real leather, like compared to what they did in Mad Max 2 was felt a lot better. So because they had the Mad Max 2, they had about 10 times the budget, about around $4.5 million, and so they were so limited there that really you can tell that the this is not great. And generally, I feel like this character is more iconic than the first one. I think, and actually, George Miller himself and Mel Gibson and most critics agree that Mad Max 2 Road Warrior is the best of all the movies. Even though the last one, Fury Road, was really great. It was a really awesome comeback to the franchise. But in my heart, I still prefer Mad Max 2. So I want to make him as a Mel Gibson in Mad Max 2. And we'll try to make the dog as well, because he was such a good addition to the film. I think he was a good character, this dog. I really used him. I'll talk about a little bit about the dog later. There's a fun story about that. So I think we'll go ahead. In terms of pose, I'm gonna go off of this, and I'll just go as I probably modify it a little bit as I go. Kind of use my gut feeling there. I think I'll probably have a little bit more motion in something a bit more interesting for the legs. But this is not too bad, so I think we'll do that. Yeah, so let's do that. So the film, the first movie came out in 1979, and it was directed by George Miller. It was his first film, actually. Never had done anything in film before, and he was it's funny because he was a medical doctor from an ER in Australia. They were getting a lot of people injured in road accidents, in car accidents, and he was taking care of them. So that's how he got the idea of making a film about this this sort of collapsed society where people would try and live off of scraps, and where gasoline would be a very rare thing, because there was an oil crisis at the time too. So all of this kind of meshed into some sort of story that he had, and because he knew very well injuries that you can encounter in road accidents, he put that into the first film and the second one. And even because he was a trained medical doctor in the ER, even himself on the second film, when there were some injuries occurring because they were very dangerous stunts and they were all done for real. So he actually himself treated some of the stuntmen that got injured during filming of the Road Warrior, because he was a trauma doctor, so he could do that. One of the stunts in Mad Max 2, where they have the what's the name of the thing? The big truck, the big tank, rolling down a hill, and it was deemed so dangerous that they asked the stuntman not to eat for the 12 hours before performing the stunt, in the eventuality that they would have to bring him to the ER and operate on him very in an urgent way. And it's always better if you're fasting when you're when people operate on you. So they even thought about that. So it's kind of a bit crazy that the stuntman still went ahead and did this, So really, the movie didn't have any almost no budget. They really had to make it work with whatever they had, which was very very tricky, obviously, and that's why they had like the in the first film, the first Mad Max. There's some gang members, motorcycle gangs terrorizing people, and they were actually real members of real motorcycle gangs that they asked if they would make the film, and they paid them in beer and very cheap money. And they were so short on money that they couldn't even fly them to the location of filming, and they couldn't also afford to pay for gas or anything. So it was all on the gang members to actually ride their own bicycles. It was their own bikes in the film that they rode from and to the set where the location where they shot, and sometimes they even wore their fake weapons on them as they rode to the filming location. So the production of the movie had given them some papers from the studio saying that in the case they would be pulled over by the police in Australia, to tell them that those were fake weapons and they were for a movie production, just in case they would be pulled over. It was filmed in what they called guerrilla guerrilla style, which means that they if it's black and then maybe. So what it means is that they didn't have any permit to shoot. Like normally, if you want to film some stunts and in particular dangerous car stunts, you have to have special permits and close up the roads and all that sort of stuff to make sure that there's no one could get caught into a stunt like a person on the road. But they didn't have any permit because, of course, to get the permits you have to pay, and it's a complicated process, and they really didn't have any of those resources. So they shot their guerrilla style, which means that you go on and as quickly as you can set up your equipment and your stunts and everything. And then you film as quickly as possible, and then before the police gets on the scene, you evacuate and you relocate to the next location. Very very crazy. There is another film like this. A lot of very like old films, first films from first-time directors, people who really didn't have a lot of resources were done in that style. And there was another one that I'm thinking of called Last House on the Left. It was the first Wes Craven movie, who would later on do the famous Nightmare on Elm Street. he did this film, a very disturbing movie, actually. They called the Last House on the Left, and it was a shot in and around New York, and it was the same guerrilla style. They would just go in and shoot wherever they felt like they could before the police would get on the scene, and then they would move to a next location. But on Madmax, eventually, what happens is that the Victoria police, from because it was shot around the region of Victoria in in Australia, got wind of all that, and rather than trying to prevent them from shooting, they actually thought that it would be better to just help them out in order to avoid any accidents, because they knew they would probably try and film no matter what. So rather than getting into a situation where there would be an accident, they without even though they didn't have any permit, the police would close off the streets and help them out to get their scene shot. So it was kind of cool, and probably the smart move from the police to do that. I'm just gonna take someone's head. I think I'm gonna take the set. It's because Terminator, I think, has a fairly a little bit of a smaller head, because I wanted him to look big. But on him, I don't think we need that. So I'm gonna take we're gonna take Forrest Gump's head. And just reuse this. We'll see if we have to change it a little bit, but it's good. It's good base. I'll change the hair, but at least I got the proportions. Actually, no, it's the same. So I'm surprised. No, really is. Wait, hold on. No, okay, that's not the right one. Let's make this bigger. Just give him a bit more hair, maybe. We'll see about the head eventually a little later. Doesn't really matter at the moment. I'm gonna have him a little less wide and big than Terminator. Something like this. Yeah. So the car, so they really didn't have a lot of money, so they put a big portion of the budget in trying to build the famous black car that he's driving in the second film and in the first film. It was a Ford in 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe. Kind of a mouthful, but they got this car and added You know, the big supercharger coming out from the the front of the car. It was only for looks. It didn't actually work. And also they added a front a spoiler and several things to make it look a bit more aggressive. And that car, it cost them around $30,000 to build from a car that they bought. Mel Gibson at the time, he was completely unknown. He was studying art, acting, and got to an audition and got the part. But he was really an unknown, so they paid him only $10,000 for the first film. So, and the car cost about $30,000, so 3 times as much for the car than they paid the lead for the role. But of course, this Woody launched his career in the United States, which was really a good thing. Got very lucky there. The film was a huge commercial success. Actually, the first one was cost only, like I said, around $400,000, and but it made close to something like $100 million at the box office, which made this movie from when you calculate the ratio of what it cost to what it made this film the most profitable film in the whole of history of movies, up until the Blair Witch Project, which then was took the mantle of most profitable movie around 1999, I think. But before that, it was all these years. It was Madmax, the first one, and the second one didn't make as much money, surprisingly, even though it's a far better film. But yeah, I guess didn't get as lucky. So I'm gonna try to get some kind of interesting shape in the legs. A bit of I'd like to get him a little bit of motion, like walking. I think would be nice. Now I'm gonna go all black or close to black. Doesn't matter much. Let's flip him real quick just to see. So it's a very interesting costume design, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of history to it and storytelling. The ripped sleeve there, it was Mel Gibson's idea. He cut off the sleeve because in the first movie, he some of the bad guys, he's lying on the road, and one of the bikers runs over his right arm with the bike and breaks his arm. So then he imagined that when they rushed him to the hospital later on after he got got rid of all the bad guys. Then in the hospital they would cut off the sleeve instead of trying to remove the jacket, because it would be really difficult on a broken arm to do that. So usually when it's like this, they just cut off the clothes entirely. So that's why he's missing one sleeve. And this is he also thought that he would cut off some of the fingers on the gloves, because then it's better to and easier to recharge the shotgun and access to the shells with his bare fingers than with the gloves that could be slippery or a little less precise. And this sort of a metal brace there is because his leg is he gets shot in the kneecapped in the first film as well by the villain. So then after that, this is supposed to be a few years later after the first film. Then he sort of rigged some kind of a metal brace to help him out to walk with his damaged knee. And all of this is all his gear to repair his the car. That's always this is really one of the main means of survival. His most important tool is the car, so that's why he has all the tools. So it's a really good costume, as a lot of, and also of course he gets still a little bit of that old shoulder pad from the uniform that's here, but for some reason he lost one maybe, and the other one is a little bigger, or we don't know why, but it gives a really interesting look at the character. So pretty good, yeah, a really good costume, a very nice outfit. So the car, the first, so they had this car, and when they finished filming the first film, they thought that they would not need it anymore, because of course they never thought that it would make a sequel to the film. So they just gave it away to someone to scrap it, and but the guy he kept the car, and he just he exposed it for a little while, and it was pretty damaged, and then eventually he tried to sell it, but no one bought it. No one was interested in getting that car, because I guess the film was not well known enough, and especially in Australia, where in that region maybe people didn't know about the film. Not sure, but no one was interested in buying the car. So the car stayed there in this sort of yard for quite a while, until finally George Miller decided to make a sequel to the film, and then the car was still available to purchase, so they rebought the car that they had left for the first movie, and they used it, and then they built another one that was used for all the stunts, and they used the car that was done for the first movie for all the interior scenes within the car. But then this car had a really funny fate, because when they were done with the second film, they also decided to let go of that car. So they didn't try to keep it or anything. They gave it away a second time, and this time it was also destined to end up in scrap metal. But the guy also kept the car. He didn't destroy it, and he eventually he gave it away to one of his colleagues, some kind of other guy who was working on a in a scrap metal facility, and they and that guy, he kept the car. It was very the front was all smashed, but he kept it too. He kept the car, and for the longest time in his yard, and the car stayed there and taking the rust until finally a guy who was a big fan of the film. Oh, hold on, I messed up there. I just flipped the character, so I've already done the. And so this guy, he was a big fan of the film in Australia, and he was driving around one day, completely randomly, and he saw the car from the road he was passing by, and he saw the car in the yard, and because he was a fan of the movie, he thought that this looked like very much like the Interceptor, the actual car from a Madmax car. So he went and asked the guy, and then he retraced the history of the car and confirmed that it was the actual car that was used in the film. So he bought it, and then he restored the car completely, and then he had hid it. He made people pay like $1 or something just to recover his money, all the money that he has spent in the restoration, for a few years like this, until eventually he got tired of it, and he sold it back to a museum, and the car was then exposed in England, I think, in a car museum. And then finally it was then sold again to another car show or museum down in Florida, where it's now. So it's still available to see, and it's still the original from the film. But it almost got destroyed twice, and twice someone thought that they might just keep it. They didn't do anything really with it, but they just keep the car. They kept it, and it's great because otherwise it would have been lost forever. There's a lot of props on films that are actually or sets that are intentionally destroyed after production. You would think that they would keep this, but they want to. Usually, they prefer to destroy the sets because they're concerned that some people may reuse them for other films or cheaper productions, and so they and also it costs a lot of money to transport. Imagine you build an entire fake house or something, or any sort of a big prop for or set for a film. It will cost you a lot of money to try and bring it back to generally in the US if it's an American studio, and so they prefer to just destroy it on site so that they don't have to pay for the cost of transportation of all that stuff. So there's a lot less actual sets and props from movies that are kept than what you could think. It's gonna be some kind of belt. We're gonna put it like this. So just some kind of something there. Here we'll have at least we'll have the holster, even though we may not. I wish I have the cutoff for that, because I wonder if the holster is black too. It might be just brown, Not too sure there. May just for the sake of a little bit of variation, I may do a dark brown there. We'll same thing uh, for the belt, maybe. Yeah, the belt doesn't really make any sense to have it brown. I don't know. I guess I have to find a reference for that. And I think I'm gonna have him hold a gun, probably. Not too sure how. We'll see. In Madmax 2, the Road Warrior, what I really love about that film is how economical in dialogue it is, and how faithful the film is to the character. The George Miller, he originally envisioned this almost as a silent movie, a very kinetic movie with a lot of stunts and action, but that would be almost entirely without dialogue. And actually, when you watch Mad Max 2, it's not that far off in the end. But what's interesting is that Mel Gibson in the second, so in the Road Warrior, has only 16 lines of dialogue in the entire film. And one is repeated twice when he says, "I'm only here for the gasoline." And I thought that was really brilliant. I love the fact that this character almost never speaks unless it's absolutely necessary. It just makes sense for who he is, even from the first film. I mean, he's a broken man because his little girl, I think it was a boy, I can't remember. I think it was a little girl, and his I think pregnant woman was killed on the road by those gangs in the first film. So he's kind of a broken man, and so he doesn't really at this point doesn't have much to live for, and he's more of a a survivor, and quite desperate. So he's almost in perpetual state of shock or something. Almost never speaks at that point. So I thought that makes sense. And also really what the Road Warrior is mainly a western. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, but what it is essentially is really a western. It's the lonesome hero, that helps out people that are terrorized by gangs and things like this. Actually, George Miller was a big Akira Kurosawa fan, and Seven Samurai is one of his favorite films and the main influence for the Road Warrior, for Mad Max in general. So that's to me that makes a lot of sense when I see this. There's a lot of chaos in that costume. I feel like you can really feel the all the added stuff. Everything has been sort of added over the years and changed, and but also nothing. It's still the old, same old police uniform, because he can't really afford to get new clothes or anything. It's a world where that has gone to ruin, and then nothing is left almost. So that makes sense. I'm gonna try and suggest this brace here. I guess I should probably determine the exact leg first. Not too sure yet what I want to do with that. Gonna try different poses for the leg. Not too sure what I want to do yet. It's kind of cool. There's less motion. There's no motion to it. It's more like standing, but it's not necessarily a pose that I dislike. Like I said last time, I think I always want to try and get as much attitude in the pose. It's very I think it's very important to try and get as much motion in this. Not good, but I'm really trying really fast a few things. Just trying a few different things. I don't want the legs to be too big and on him. I want to check how tall he's gonna be. Real quick, a bit tall. May have to remove, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna remove at least 1 pixel. I think in the legs it's probably appropriate. Maybe this leg actually. This leg seems a bit big anyway, a bit long. So 1 pixel makes a whole a big difference actually. Pretty big difference on just 1 pixel. It's funny. Yeah, so that seems better. Way more in line. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all right. Well, I think we're gonna keep this. Kind of like this pose. It's a little bit offset, and he's got this sort of. He's not. I think he's still balanced, but he's not static too much. I think so. That might be okay. Just checking something. Sorry, someone was texting, and I was quickly responding. I'm talking with someone. I've started playing a little bit the Red Dead Redemption 2, which seems like the game that everyone is playing at the moment. And it's a really gorgeous, absolutely beautiful game. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Just a spectacular. Seems like there's an enormous amount of content and everything. But I have to say that my first hour with the game has been pretty underwhelming. I didn't like it too much. I thought it was very. I definitely have my issues with the way they handle the beginning of this game, and I think it's honestly mainly my my problem, not necessarily that they did it wrong, but I feel like I've lost the patience for those games that will try and be a film at the same time and will tell you a story for 20 minutes before you can even touch the controller. So that's it's a little annoying to me, and the whole idea that you're with this gang in the beginning, and I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like one of the big things that I loved about Red Dead Redemption, the first one, was that feeling of freedom right away. You were. It's the lonesome, again, like similar to this. It's the lonesome hero. But Red Dead 2, they put you into this situation where your character, sorry, your character is, he's got to deal with like feeding a bunch of people from a gang, and also their, but he's not in charge, so he looks like a little bit like a brute. He's just an enforcer, and he gets orders from another guy, and so you go through a series of very restrictive mission, very scripted, where they teach you all the controls that are very overwhelming, by the way. So much stuff, so many different aspects of the game, different between hunting and fighting, and all of that, and the whole managing the horse, and I don't know. It's just I felt like it's both very overwhelming in the beginning, because they throw at you all those things that you're supposed to know, and at the same time, it's a bit. It's from I don't know how to say that, but from a gameplay standpoint, it's actually pretty limited. You're just following instructions. Hit this button at this moment. Do this. Do that. I don't know. I'm sure the game would be really great if you have the patience to go through all of that stuff. But I don't know that I have that patience anymore with games. I feel like now I kind of like games where not simplistic games, but games that I can start playing under and have fun with, under 15 minutes or so, and I don't think that Red Dead 2 is one of those. Anyway, yeah, it's a bit strange that very. I feel it's a questionable game to me, but I'm sure it will still be very successful, and maybe I'll go back to it and I'll try to put some a bit more time into it, but it's almost like it's a chore to play the game. It's okay, got to play the game now. Got to learn, get to do all those missions in order to get finally free of the first 2 hours of teaching and meeting all the characters and hearing all their backstories, and I feel like I'm very disconnected from the character that I'm supposed to play, because he's got all those. He's supposed when you start the game, you're supposed to know about. He's got this whole history with his gang. He knows all those people from years, and you're thrown into this, and but I don't know those people. They mean nothing to me, and so I feel like I'm in a position where I can't really connect with the character, because I feel like he's the fact that I'm supposed to be friend with all those people that I just met is just really bizarre. It just makes me feel like I'm a stranger to their story. I'm the only one who's not in the. They have those jokes and they talk about and I'm like, I'm not in the joke. I don't really understand. And then I have to go in order to understand what they're talking about, or or follow their story. I have to go through pages after page of reading the diary of the guy, and reading a diary. I mean, I don't know. I love. And by the way, that reading is not the issue there, because I love text adventure games, and there's only text. There's nothing else, so it's just reading. But I think there's a difference between reading something that is very that is concise and appealing, and reading just dozens of pages of almost like I almost feel like it's reading the imagine you get into The Walking Dead, and then you play The Walking Dead, and you know nothing of anyone, and you're thrown into it as a Rick, right in the middle of the 5th season, with all the characters around you talking to you and all that stuff. and then you have to read through basically every episode up until to this point, a sum up of everything that happened in order to understand who they are. And even if you get it, it's only factual, it's not something that you weren't there for those events. You don't really, they can tell you, oh, it's very important, but you're just telling me. I don't, I didn't, I wasn't there, I couldn't really experience that. So yeah, that was my experience with the Red Dead so far. Kind of a strange one, this one. Not too sure there. I think it's you'd have to really put a lot of time and effort into it to really appreciate it. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I don't think that I have that time, and that patience. I just want to have fun, with the game, doing my thing, and so it's just maybe it's just not for me anymore. I don't know. And I really love the first one, and I loved GTA 5. I thought that was great. I never felt that with GTA 5. I never felt like I was kind of a little bored of I have to go through this mission now. And also they have a really weird system, and that's something that I didn't like in the first one either. So that hasn't really changed. But in the first one they had this thing, and it's the same here, where you have to do a mission, and if you mess up somewhere, let's say there's at some point in the game there's a mission where you have to attack a train, and the controls are a little bit clunky and weird, and it definitely takes some time to get used to them. And so at some point the guy is like, take your gun out, aim this dude, and shoot this guy before he kills your buddy. And it's like a countdown, and it takes a little bit of time. I fumbled with the controls a little bit, and and then I lose the mission automatically because he gets killed. And then what happens? They sent me back to even before the mission started, when they talk about it and so you have to go through, and you can skip it, but basically you have to go now and skip and go back to that part where you set up the explosive for the train, but at that point there's no surprise anymore. The explosive won't go off, and you'll have to jump on the train. So it's completely useless to have you go through all of that again. It's just aggravation, really, for just because you fumbled with the controls for a second, where you didn't quite understand what you were supposed to do. So it's almost like you have to read. You have to constantly read and be aware of, like, do this now, and so hit that button now. And if you don't do it right away, then you're punished in the most annoying way, really, which is okay, go back to the very beginning and do that all over again. I don't know. I think it's a pretty miserable experience, honestly, and I'm not sure that this. I don't know. That doesn't do it for me. Tell you the truth, I think I would have a lot more fun with the online mode, and they talk about making an online mode that would be very similar to GTA Online, where you can do everything with your friends online. You can do heists and stuff like that. And I think I would have a lot more fun with that than going through a story with people, you know, going through very long dialogues that I don't really care too much about. So I don't know. Let's see, maybe I'm in a bad mood. Sometimes I'm just a little bit impatient. I'm not very. I'm very unforgiving with the game. I'll be judging the game very quickly because I'm in a bad mood that day, and I can't take the little problems. But so I'll give it I mean, just the sheer amount of incredible work that's been done in this makes me think that it deserves a chance, And so I'm gonna try and give it a one more go. But there's just too many games now to really for me to afford wasting my time. If I don't feel it, then it's gonna be it. I'm not gonna give it too many chances. It's a shame because it was really a game that I was looking forward to, and so far the experience it's been quite a bit of a disappointment for me. Trying to think a little bit. I feel like maybe I could push this a bit more. Gonna put the emphasis on it. But back to Madmax. In Madmax 2, there is a villain that I really like a lot, actually. If you remember Lord Humongous or Humongous, he was a great. I thought he was a great villain. He has a very sophisticated language. He seems to be more reasonable. He tries to convince the settlers to move away from the oil rig so that they can take the oil without violence. And and but it's hard to determine if he's really sincere. But I have the feeling that if they were living, he would probably let them go. Actually, I feel like he's more efficient. He was more concerned about efficiency than in really the goal of getting the oil, rather than brutality or you know the being cruel or anything. There's an interesting theory about Lord Humongous. I'll show you the character really quickly, actually, if you don't remember who he is. That's this guy, Lord Humongous. And there is an interesting a theory about him that they eventually dropped it, but in the beginning the idea was they wanted him to be actually a character from the first film. And if you remember, so in the first film, there's the cops are fighting those bikers, and Max Rocketansky, because that's his name, Rocketansky, Madmax. Very few people know that, but he has a last name, Rocketansky. And anyway, Max, he has a friend called Jim Goose, and Jim gets burnt alive in his car, and then he's transported to the hospital. But I don't think he dies, but gets transported to the hospital, and he's with severe burns all across his body, and then you don't hear about him anymore. And what they wanted to, George Miller had this idea that Lord Humongous would be actually Jim Goose, former friend of Max, that because of the trauma of what he experienced when the world finally collapsed, he would come back as a villain, just because he would have forgotten who he was and everything, and then resorted to violence and became this gang, this sort of gang lord. And they even have a few hints about that, but eventually dropped the story. They never, but they still left some hints of it. Like you can tell that he's burned under his mask. You never see his face, but they let you understand that he's been severely burnt. And also some of his people, all the gangbangers, they wear a lot of police helmets and gear, and even some black leather uniforms, and so that seems to suggest that some former cops actually followed him and were at the origin of this this gang of marauders in the future. So it's a pretty interesting story. And he's a very he recites poems, and while they torture the poor settlers that he has on his car at some point, like those guys. And he has this famous gun. He has only a few bullets for it. So he's got a lot of very strange and interesting little quirks about him. That's when he recites that poem. So that's I really like this villain, and also funny enough, there was the very first Madmax. There was this guy. He was the main villain. He was the head of the clan. This guy, he was the head of the of the bikers, and it turns out it's the same actor that they used to play the role of Immortan John, Immortan Joe, who's the villain, this guy, in the Fury Road. So that is the same actor. Something like 40 years later, same actor who's the villain in Madmax 1 and Madmax 4. Pretty crazy when you think of it. Well, they had the same. This film was incredible. He did a really good job there. What's his name? George Miller. Fury Road almost never got made. Actually, it was crazy. George Miller he didn't want to make a sequel to Mad Max, and to be fair, after the disaster of the first, the Mad Max 3, Beyond the Thunderdome, which was, in my opinion, absolutely abysmal, so bad. I don't even know what happened there. But anyway, I'm not the only one who didn't like that film and thought it was almost like incomprehensible that he would do that to his franchise. But no one wanted to hear about. Certainly, no studio would risk any cent in Mad Max anymore after that thing. And he didn't necessarily want to do another Mad Max either. But he got a script, I think around '93, that he really liked, and he decided that he would try and get the project off the ground. And so it took something like 20 years of development hell. Several he was so unlucky, it's unbelievable. They were about to shoot to start filming in 2003. No, it was 2003, when they were supposed to go film in Namibia in Africa. And at that point, some kind of civil war broke out, so the situation was very unstable. They had to postpone everything, and then the project went back to development hell. And then finally, they shot in 2013, I think, in the same country. But and then before that, there were several also moments where it was very close to get to actual filming, but then didn't get the financement or the financing, or 9/11 also marked the another stage of the project where they had to stop everything they were doing and start from scratch because the political climate had changed and the social climate. So he got so unlucky. It was pretty incredible, actually, that you can be that a project can be so cursed, but eventually it got made, and I'm glad, because it's a spectacular film. I think it's the second best one after Road Warrior. And honestly, I love Road Warrior more because I'm a bit nostalgic, but and there's a few things in that I don't like so much in Fury Road, notably how Max softens up towards the end a little too much. I understand that you want to have a character arc, I think it's very a good thing to do. You don't have to have the character that doesn't evolve at all. But the way Max evolved in Road Warrior, I think, was better. You never feel like he gets soft or very changed. He, he's willing to take some risk and maybe sacrifice himself. But I don't know. You don't feel like it's something that just comes out of nowhere. When in I think in Fury Road it was a bit weird. The when towards the end he has this little here I like those thing, this pad there with a little stud. So I'm trying to do this. But anyway, yeah, he was. If you remember Fury Road, when they Furiosa gets, she's desperate and she's like, well, like our promised land doesn't exist and it's all been destroyed and then at this point they go on their own and Max is going after her and he's telling her we're gonna go back, all the way back to the beginning. That's the only way. We can't run away, and I'll help you out. And then all of a sudden, he becomes such a helpful, character, and he's it's almost like a 180 from what it was before. I don't know. I thought it was a bit. It was a bit too abrupt, or it didn't quite work for me. And then at the very end, he's he's telling his name to her, and he's getting all emotional, trying to make sure she doesn't die. And I don't know. That felt a little bit out of character for me, especially after how awesomely, almost animalistic he is during the whole sequence where he gets captured by the Lost Boys or whatever their name is, for his blood, and then after he gets. When he meets the women for the first time, and he gets into this very brutal fight with Furiosa. I thought this was very very awesome. It was, but then all of a sudden, I don't know. He just became a little bit different. He became someone different. It's kind of a hard line to walk, actually, this character, because I think you never really get you never want to get to the point where you feel like he's in there to help out people. He's not like a vigilante, or he was before, but when his family got killed, I think he lost his his hope in humanity, and then at that point it's all for himself. He's a survivor. That's the only thing that matters. But it's a difficult line, because then you still want a character that where you can feel that he was empathetic before. It's his history that made him what he is. He's not evil, or he's not indifferent to humanity's problems. It's just that he has lost hope in his ability to actually help people, because he couldn't help his own family. So I think that's the kind of it's actually Rick from The Walking Dead I think is a similar arc as a character. But those characters are hard to do, because they can be either too cold and a bit annoying and flat, or they can be. But if you try to make them more human and bring something back from their past, then you can ruin them and make them too soft. out of character. So it's a tricky one. I think he did that. George Miller did this very well, in my opinion, in the Road Warrior, but not so much in Fury Road. At least not at the end, in my opinion. But again, this is kind of a personal opinion, of course. It's still a pretty incredible film to watch. Lots of very spectacular stunts, as usual in George Miller's fashion, all done for real for the most part. Of course, there's a lot of CG and added craziness in Fury Road, because it's a much more modern movie, and they could afford to push things with the CG. But the main bulk of the stunts is still made for real, and you can feel the weight of the vehicles and the destruction and all of that. I think that's what makes this movie very efficient, and it's a simple movie too. That's what I really love about it. Doesn't try to be too many things. Very much in the vein of what Madmax used to be at its best. It's an action film, and it's a western with very simple themes of survival and of the and of the fittest. So yeah, very cool stuff. Really impressed that he was able, at his age. I think George Miller now is probably close to 70 years old, and this 73 years. So can you imagine this? So when he filmed Fury Road, he was 68, and this film looks like the energy, the power, this film looks like it's been done by a young 30-year-old director. It's pretty amazing that this film looks so energetic, so modern too. Even the visuals, the colors, and saturation in the colors, and all the bold choices that he made. It doesn't look like a film made by a guy who's 60, almost 70 years old. So I'm really impressed by that, actually. And I think they filmed both at the same time, Fury Road and the sequel, because there's going to be another one right after. But I can't remember what's the title of the next one. I think it's called Furiosa, actually, but I'm not sure. And I think they shot both at the same time. And Tom Hardy did I think he did a really good job as Max. He had this raw, almost like instinctive, primal power to him. Very suited to Max. I'm very glad that George Miller right away said that he wouldn't get Mel Gibson for this movie because he was too old, and he wanted Max to remain a young character. and I think that's the to me that's the approach that that's the best approach for this kind of timeless hero. I think they do that with James Bond. James Bond never ages. I mean, he's got different ages depending on who is playing the character, but essentially, every 5 years or so, there's a new young James Bond that comes up, and that's perfect because then the character will remain, just timeless. And I really think that they should do this with Indiana Jones, even though I absolutely love Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, but Harrison Ford can't be Indiana Jones anymore. He's just simply too old for that. This is just to me, it's just getting absolutely ridiculous. They're ruining the character. Quite sad about that. But again, it is their character to ruin because they made it, you know. And by they I mean Spielberg, Lucas, and Harrison Ford. They made that character, and they created that success. So it's theirs to do whatever they want with it. But I think they're making a huge mistake by sticking to their all guns. They should probably get a new director too, because I don't think Spielberg has the. I think he's a fantastic director, one of the best that was ever, one of the legends. But let's face it, I think he's also a little bit past his prime now, and that's normal. I don't think it is. I don't think it takes anyway and anything from Spielberg. It's just that at a certain age, maybe time to let the young guys pick up the mantle. I'm sure there's a talented young director out there who could rejuvenate Indiana Jones. I would assume so. And there's certainly a young actor who could step into the very big shoes of Harrison Ford. Definitely not the kind of stuff that you want to give to first, to anyone, but there has to be someone who can do this. At some point, actually, there was rumors about the Star-Lord guy taking on the role, which I wasn't absolutely against. I thought that was actually a pretty good idea. He definitely has this. He's a very fun guy. He's got a lot of humor. He's got this sort of confident and fun at the same time. A little bit goofy personality sometimes that fits the character. So I think he would probably be a pretty good Indiana Jones, actually. But I think the whole thing was probably never true. Maybe they talked a little bit for about the idea, but I don't think it's These are very serious. They were very serious about replacing Harrison Ford. But Harrison Ford, he's gonna be, I think he's gonna be close to 80 when he's gonna film Indiana Jones 5. I mean, 80 years old. How is he gonna be on a horse, or or well, doing all those stunts? And I don't know. It's just what's gonna happen in the fights, and just the look. There's this. He looks like an old man now, because he is. It's just as simple as that. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. It's the reality. I wish he could stay younger. He could stay 30 forever, and he could make a million great new Indiana Jones movies, but it's not reality. I'm even surprised that Harrison Ford doesn't want to, hang the whip once and for all. It's kind of strange to me that you would want to keep doing this forever. I mean, even Daniel Craig was, to me, the best Bond ever. And he said he was getting too old to do that. And he's not nearly as old as Harrison Ford is. I think he's somewhere around close to 50 or something. But he said it's just it's getting too physical and too difficult to do. I don't know what I'm doing with this hand. I think I'm trying to get the gun into a position that is where I want to see the side of the gun, but at the same time it makes no sense, because in that position you'd see just the top, and I'm trying to get two things that are incompatible, and that's my fault. So I need to I think I'm gonna have him hold the gun at more of an angle, and then I can maybe afford to show the side. We'll see. No, I don't like any of this. Let's go back to hand. You know what? Let's put the gun in there. I don't really want to have the gun out, actually. I'm just losing myself here. I kind of like the hand with the little, you know, glove and everything. I think it's good enough like this. Sometimes it's just yeah. I like this better. I think. Ah, oh, the arm is in the way. Well, then we'll go as high. I think I'm okay with that, actually. I wonder if I should try and get a bit more hair. But, can be too. Cause I feel like this guy's got not long hair, but not too short either. I don't think we can do that. No. Oh. Why can I get the okay? Maybe like this. Mofi, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. Welcome. We're doing a pixel art here, as you can tell, and I'm trying to make Madmax. If you just came in, so doing all movie characters. Show you some of the stuff that I did before. So all movie characters from mainly from the 80s and earlier. So you can see all those guys. You probably know some of them, if not all, depending on your age and what kind of movie you like. But yeah, there's a bunch of them here. You can have a look real quick. And here we're or making Madmax, Max Rokitansky. Actually, he was named after Rokitansky, who was a doctor. I think he was a surgeon or a doctor or something, and he who invented a certain procedure that allowed the removal. It's kind of morbid, but the easier removal of organs for an autopsy. And the reason why I was Madmax was named after him was because George Miller himself was an emergency doctor before he went into the movie industry, and so he named his character after a doctor. Black characters are always kind of a bit of a problem because you still want to suggest some kind of shading, but it can be a little difficult because then things look a little gray, and you don't want a character to look gray. When you think of Mad Max, you think of a black leather guy, even though in the film he ends up having quite a bit of dust and a bit of color in his outfit, but overall it's more or less all black leather. This was vinyl, so it looks bad, but this was genuine leather. So I'm trying to get some of the shading and some of the form and the detail in the outfit, but at the same time I don't really want to go too light in the shading, because then it looks like it's not black anymore. So it's kind of a bit of a balance to find there with those sorts of characters. We can try to add a bit the wrench there. Would be nice. Might be so we probably want to go pretty bright. So just some metal. Kind of tricky because again we want to go pretty bright, but at the same time bright mean high contrast looks very big, and so it's kind of a tricky thing. So we'll have to probably be somewhere in between. We can suggest this maybe this, he's got some sort of strap there. That would be nice. I'm gonna take some liberty there and go for maybe a lighter brown, just to be able to read it. I'm not sure this is a very good idea, but we'll try. It's just a little bit of metal there, some sort of buckle. And it's more suggestion of detail. Really, we're not. We can't really go here. Just 1 pixel, really bright, will do the trick. Hopefully for that. That buckle. Here we can have a little bit of shadow there. So I would like to feel this better. I'm gonna try and adjust this a bit. We're gonna see if we can make this a bit better. try to make sure that we get this shape, you know, this to that. And as usual, if you guys have someone has questions, or you wonder about something, why I'm doing something, or any kind of question or remark or whatever, you feel free to to type it in the chat. It's really it'll be my pleasure to try and answer if I can. I'm gonna try to use same here. So I would like to still keep that shirt underneath or whatever. There's no I wonder, hold on. This is because those are really dark shadows, so I wonder, does he have any sort of what's underneath? He's got something, I think, but it's hard to know exactly what. I couldn't really find a lot of good reference. So we're going to assume that he has some kind of shirt. Gonna have to maybe look for reference there. Maybe black, all black, I don't know. Here we have this thing. I think we can go a little brighter there. Maybe something like that. I think it's important to feel like there's some a bit of metal here and there, like zippers and buckles and stuff like that, but still kind of reasonable. Here we're gonna try and get just a bit of ladder, just to suggest a difference between the glove and the and the jacket. I think we can do that. Okay. Okay, I think I should do it more or less. Monster Here the holster has some kind of a strap to hold it, so we can maybe suggest this. And here there's a knife, I think, that he has in the boot. So we'll try to maybe suggest something like that. Oops. Don't know if I want to go that bright there. Maybe another little strap or something. Just trying to suggest a little bit of, you know, complexity. Because again, I think this outfit is it's fairly complex. There's quite a bit of stuff going on. There's a lot of life to it. So I'm just trying to see if I can suggest that that amount of detail. Obviously, we're dealing with a very small you know, small size, but there's still quite a bit of stuff I think we can probably get across, hopefully. Okay, this leg looks a little big. So maybe I should, yeah, maybe I should do that. Fortunately, here I'm losing a bit of precision. Here there's, I don't know what this is, but we can suggest also a bit of something. It's got quite a bit of stuff everywhere. So we're just trying to give him as much of an sort of implied detail, you know. Okay. Gonna flip him real quick. If we need that much stuff. It's a bit too much, I think. Let's see if we can it's just a bit of a bent arm as usual. It's the good old trick of one part in shadow. It's too much contrast, so I'm gonna just go in between there. Still probably too much, actually. This arm could be a little darker. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if it's a very good idea actually. This is enough, I think. Okay. I wonder if I need just a bit more neck. Not sure though. I'm just gonna see. If I do this, I feel like I need to probably do some of that as well. Yeah, maybe that's a bit better. It's gonna be a bit big now. We're gonna have to just maybe it's not too bad, but I think he's a bit tall now. It's not too terrible. He's slightly tall. I think maybe how can I find 1 pixel? I just need 1 pixel somewhere. Kind of tricky because kind of like the proportions the way they are, so I don't know. I think if I remove 1 pixel on the legs, it's gonna be too short in the legs. Yeah. If I do that, no, I'm gonna leave him like this. I think it's alright. Try a bit more shading there. Just mark a little bit more the shoulder, you know. I think we can do that. That's alright. I think it's not too bad. I like this arm. Nope. We got that. We get the. We flip him again because. So we get that shoulder pad, a little color there. Same thing here. I think it's about right. Where if I should go maybe a little higher there. Something like this. Here we could do just a bit of an anti-aliasing because it's a bit hard otherwise. Not necessarily big fan of big open chest. Maybe go a little less there. And then yeah, so I think he's getting there, definitely. I think we're getting close. But you know what I kind of want to do now is try and get the dog. Here's the dog. Never named in the film. He only has the dog in the Road Warrior, the second film, This dog was actually, I think it's what they call Australian cattle dog. I know a guy at the office where I work. He has the almost the same. And every time I see that dog, I'm reminded of Madmax. And he's a very nice dog. But this one was about to be euthanized. He was about to be put down. He was in a shelter, and the production were someone in the production was visiting that shelter one day, and he was about to be put down the very next day, and they saw the dog, and he was playing, and he seemed like he was smart and he could be trained, and they thought he could be a good addition, a good companion for Max. So they bought the dog. They rescued the dog, and they brought him on the set, and he was the only dog. Usually, they have several ones that look alike, but they couldn't afford the whole trainer and everything, so they just brought this dog, and he was the only one. So that's the same dog you see in every scene of the film. But he was very spooked. He was very scared by the noise of the engines. They had the big V8s in that car, the Ford Falcon. When you're in it, and they stripped down most of it inside, so it's a bare metal shell with some a seat and a steering wheel. It's very bare bones. So the vibrations, the rattling of the big V8 makes a tremendous amount of noise in there, and the dog was very scared by this. So they actually built a special little earplugs for the dog, and they put the earplugs inside the dog's ear so that he wouldn't be too scared during filming when the engines roared. And then after that, someone, I think a camera operator, kept the dog after that, and so this little fellow, he was saved by Madmax, the film Madmax 2. It's a pretty good story. I like this. I was sad when he gets killed in the movie. It was, it's funny how sometimes in films like this, the marauders or the gang bangers, they can kill 20 people, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I don't really get too upset about it. And then, but the minute they kill, sorry, the minute they kill a Madmax dog, then I'm like, that's it. That's too much. Got to get to avenge the dog. So it's a bit weird, but I remember not liking the dog being killed. So yeah, we could try and give him a dog. I did the dog in the small version. I wonder if I can take any cues from that. Probably not, but where is he? Max and the dog. Yeah, it's more like a very pixelized version of a dog, but I think from a distance you can sort of get it. And now I need to do the same but bigger size. I think I was copying this sort of pose there. Let me see, actually, I kind of want to see if I could I did two dogs already, small, German Shepherd there for Sarah Connor, and then the Australian cattle dog. let's find Madmax. Yeah. Take the dog. I have no idea what size. We're gonna say about double. I'm gonna say 20 pixel. Let's see if that would be a reasonable size. It's a fairly small dog actually. It's really not that big. He saves he saves Max's life actually a few times. A very good dog. Or oh, there. Okay, let's get rid of small people. That's a bit big. We'll make him a bit smaller than that. So if you look at compared to, oh, actually, it's about gets about a knee. It's a bit big. We're going to go a bit smaller. And let's see. I don't really know how to make this. We'll see. I may have been better off just starting over, but we'll see. More ears. Then there's and so he has an eye that is a bit darker. That's going to be a bit difficult to make this very convincing, but we'll try, see what we can do. Animals in general are difficult, I feel, to make. Because I think it comes down to the fact that we don't as human beings we don't see that many animals, not as often as we are exposed to human beings, and so I think we have this instinctive, almost a natural ability to represent or recognize or see what's wrong in a human. We're sort of used to poses and things like this, but animals, they have a completely different structure, and they don't obey to the same rules and same and so sometimes it's a bit difficult to find what's wrong when you're drawing an animal. And actually, it's not too rare that people are very specialized in painting or drawing animals. People who draw horses all the time, and or things like this, and they become very good at it because they have this sort of instinct for what it is. Then they understand the anatomy very well, but certainly not part of those people. So I need to just try and be I have to try and look at things the best to the best of my ability, We'll use lighting to suggest some one of the legs is inside, you know, and this leg is will be above. I want to try and get a bit of attitude to the dog as well, if I can. It's harder because again I don't fully understand the dog as well as the guy, but I can try and make him look like he's moving a little bit, you know. Hopefully. Like this bit of motion would be nice. Hope everyone's doing good today. We're still in the process of making Max Rocketansky from Madmax. Actually, you know, funny thing, I was reading this afternoon about it. I never realized this, but it's very obvious when you know it. If you guys know Fist of the North Star, Kenshiro something. I remember the exact Japanese title. But anyway, Fist of the North Star with Ken, you know, that character, is set in a very dark post-apocalyptic world where a bunch of marauders looking like punks terrorize populations and all of that. And in fact, it's this anime was very much inspired by Mad Max, and even down to the outfits of the punk, all the bad guys. They have those big Iroquois or Mohawk, and they're all like really big and muscular, and they look very scary, and they have those hockey masks and crude weapons that they built out of barbed wire and baseball bats and whatnot. And it's yeah, it's quite similar actually. It's a very close universe. I was surprised to realize that, but when I read about it, I think it made a lot of sense. Actually, there's a character called Jaggy in Ken, and you can really tell that he was modeled after Lord Among Us. Let's see, Fist, no, Star, Jaggy. So that's him right there. Let me try to find a good picture. He's got the mask and like this, and he's really buffed as well. He's got this sort of S&M looking outfit. Let me try and find a good picture. But anyway, that's him in the other character was so yeah, that's kind of similar, you know, similar idea. And they all have all the bad guys. They all have this same sort of look, where they all look like punks with weird, mohawks and things of that nature. That's Jaggy right there. So yeah, different. Even this. I mean, when you look at this outfit from Ken, and you look at that, I think there is a clear influence there. See, I think it's pretty obvious that they got influence there, which is good. I guess that's what it's all about. That you always start from somewhere something that inspires you, and you make it something a little bit different, and it becomes its own thing. It's a whole cycle. I wonder if I should. Kind of want to make sure that he's a bit. This dog. He's still a bit strong. He's it's not a big dog, but you can tell that they have. They're pretty solid. A bit stocky, a bit. So I feel like I need to make sure that we get that. I wish I could show more, just more of the head, but it's tricky because it's so small. Maybe just getting there slowly. It takes a bit of time to get that sort of stuff because it's a bit lighter. Feet. Like I need to get more chest on him, you know. These little dogs still have a bit of a still not entirely really happy with the head, but it's getting there, I think, slowly. I can't make him too big either because I said it's fairly small, it's fairly little dog. I think her legs might be a little short. I don't think his legs are that short. I wonder. Maybe you should get a bit more leg. Let's try. See how it looks. Yeah, I think that's probably better. What you guys think? That feels better to me. A little bit more butt, little butt. Oops, maybe too much. Here. Where are we gonna put him? In front, slightly in front of his friend there, Max, or what's the best? Or just on the side like this, simple. What would be preferable? I don't know. Could also turn him around. No, I don't know if it's. We could have him behind too, but maybe like this. It's kind of a shame that we don't see a little tail. Maybe he's better. Maybe he's actually better a bit like ahead of Max, or Max would be standing there, and then the dog would be a little because that's the thing with the perspective. Put him on the same size there. They look about the same distance. If I put the dog lower, then he looks he's closer in front of, so I can do a little bit of that, you know. Or here, but then yeah, for some reason I like the dog a bit in front. Not sure. There's debating there. Maybe just simple, just like the film, right next to Max. I'm gonna copy him real quick. See if I can get his head a bit more turned, so we see a little bit of the little nose. but I don't know if it's gonna be a good idea. Means changing quite a few things. Oh. So almost don't see that high. No. No, I think it's more is better if it looks a little bit around. Like that. I wonder if the ears should be a bit bigger. I don't want the ears to look too big either, but I think it's okay if he has one ear that's a little bit. But it wouldn't happen on this dog though. But I kind of think it's cute. Sorry, if one ear is a little bit crooked. Maybe that is fine. Because his ears are quite big compared to his head. So maybe that is fine. Oh. Trying to get would like to be able to read the little you know, it's almost like a little bit of a bow shape, but don't know if we can really make this. It's so small. I have to really cut it. Ah, come on. Nope. Bit tricky there. I have to make a sacrifice, you know. I think that's good as it's gonna get, I think. Probably as good as it's gonna get. Let's keep doing this. So he's got those little pretty complex color actually. So we're gonna try and suggest a little bit of that, but I can't go too crazy either, because otherwise he's going to end up being a bit too complex, you know. And we can't really do that. And it's got this nice little, a brown color, like fox color, on the legs. So we can get a bit of that. I think would be nice. Like that. Doesn't take a lot really. It's just to suggest this thing. Oh my god, hold on. I need to be able to see this at the same time. There's a mistake there. So if I follow, I have two lines like this. It looks like this is part of yeah, this is better. I think need to separate the from the rest of the body. Okay. No. Hold on. Tricky little guy to make. Okay, what else? This. The thing. I wish I could really. Oh, okay. Maybe I guess. Ah, it's so annoying. As long as there's a little hint of red, I think it's probably fine anyway. So we got the little colors here and there. Yeah, it's a bit spotted. Oh. I think at that point, it's probably gonna be that for him. Can we go too wild, too crazy? I think it's enough for him. Some little ears. Yeah, I think not too sure about those spots. I think it's getting a bit too much, too complicated. Because I still want him to look in line with everything else, and like I said last time, I don't like to have too much frequency. That's why I got rid of the texture in Blondie's jacket there. So yeah. And if I try to get that color in the eyes, it's gonna look just plain weird. I think can't really do it. There's no real way. I think it's little black eyes is the best the best outcome there. And get that. I think overall it looks a little dark. I think I'm just gonna use the levels here to lightening him up, lighten him up a bit. Turn saturation, and maybe we'll go. It seems about right. Is it too big now? Is it too... Oh, it's probably the right size. Okay. Still debating where I should put him. But I guess this is fine. So this is dog, and this is Madmax. Put them in a group. Madmax and dog. There. And I think it's pretty close to being finished there. Wonder if I should trying to figure if there's anything that I could do better. Yeah, I don't like the hair there. I'm gonna just do this. Is there anything I should do? There's so much detail and so much stuff though in there that I mean, I can't really make all of this. I just have to. I think we have to make choices there as to what we can afford to, you know, to make, and just leave out a few things that are simply a bit too. Will render everything a little bit too complicated. Or maybe this could move. No. Because if I move this over there, I think it gets too merged with the leg, and you can't really make out the shape of the holster. So I think it's probably better to leave it out a bit outside. Yeah, what else should be done there. Is there anything else? I think it's about right. I'm just a little annoyed that it seems like to be a bit 1 pixel too high, but for some reason I think his proportions are good like this, and if I remove 1 pixel of neck, I think he's missing a neck, so I can't really do much about that for some reason. It's probably fine though. Like I said, I don't necessarily plan to have all those characters really next to each other. So as long as they're roughly in the same ballpark, I think it's fine to. Okay. And then this is not super well done, but so hard to get it to read without. I still want it to read as different, like metal, but the hard contrast makes it a little bit hard to read. It's a very alias there. In that case, I could afford a bit of anti-aliasing. Just in that case, you know. Usually, I wouldn't do that too much, but I think in that case, we can maybe do that. Yeah, I think it's fine. And I'm just gonna do this just for fun because it's just a bit more metal there, and there is some here. You see, he's got this sort of buckle there. So I think a little pixel there is it's nice. Oh, no. It's really just little touches here and there, you know, trying to get the last few things outstanding. have to double check the real colors, see if there's any other interesting little variation of color in the outfit. It's possible, but I don't really remember. It's hard to tell in the film, I think. I'm worried that this leg is a bit weird there, but is that better? I don't know. Because problem is, can't really read the metal if you can see just a bit of the leg. So I think maybe it's better to do that. We're gonna go a bit less strong there. Finally caught you live. Hey, hello. How many raindrops? How are you? Yeah, I know. I think you were telling me that you watch the VODs mainly. Yeah. So yeah, I know the time is not ideal, fortunately. Because I work during the day, and it's really the only time I have to stream is after work, after dinner. So it's 9 for me, and for some people, if you're on the East Coast, start streaming at midnight for you guys. If you're on the East Coast, and so it's very late, and not too many people, I think, can really watch it live. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but I really don't know what to do for that. Since I can't, obviously, I can't afford to stream full time because it's it's just I gotta work. So, but anyway, welcome. I'm here. I was actually gonna probably end the stream soon. So unfortunately, because I'm getting there where I think I'm not too sure what to do with this guy. I think he's really getting close now to being done. Max Rokotansky. Yeah, I think he's getting really close now. Such is my luck. But I'm still here for now. It's fine. Actually, you know what? Something we're gonna do real quick. Valeria, I posted her yesterday, and or the day before, I can't remember. And the next day, I thought that her head looked a little small for some reason. So I was gonna try real quick to see if I should make her head just a bit longer. But I'm not sure. So that's and also I thought there's too much contrast here in the makeup because it's the lightest part, so I should have used this color. So that was a mistake. And finally, the other thing that I was looking at was here I felt like there was too much dye there. felt a little weird, so I was gonna try and see if I could make her leg a little bit smaller. Elastic there, maybe something like this. Yeah, I think to me this feels a little better, I think. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's a bit too much. Maybe there too. Maybe a bit leaner. Let's see now, compared to before. Not sure about the head though. Let's see. Maybe could have a little bit of a... Oh. Not a big fan of that. Let's see this. Oh, maybe this is better. Heads are always tricky, very tricky. They're too small or too big, or you know, it seems like it's never quite right at this size. So sometimes I'm fighting this quite a bit before I can settle on something. The less contrast is better, I think. I think a leg, I think I tend to like this better too. And the big, yeah, I think this is better overall. I think I'm gonna commit to this. Unless someone has a major objection. But I think this is a bit better. I mean, at this point, it's not a major change, but it's always good to try. And when you see something that bothers you, try and fix it if possible. Otherwise, yeah, I think I'm gonna commit to this. That's it. So that's it for that. Back to Max here. I'm thinking he's probably all right. I don't know that there is anything really obvious that I miss somewhere. It's possible, but I don't seem to see a real obvious missing feature. Let's flip everyone one more time. So since you're here, how many raindrops? I'm just gonna quickly show you. You may have seen this on Instagram, and maybe you have seen some of the VODs where those were made. But so those are all the characters that I made so far. Conan, Darkness, those are original, and this Macready from The Thing, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Dr. West from Reanimator, Indiana Jones, Robocop, Sarah Connor, and Terminator 2. Flashdance. This is Popeye from the French Connection, Red Sonja in Pinhead from Hellraiser, Jack Torrance from The Shining, The Rocketeer, Jessica Rabbit, Mark Bowman from 2001, Tony Montana and Scarface, Ripley and Jonesy from Alien, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dr. Zira and Cornelius from 1968 Planet of the Apes, Luke Skywalker, Beetlejuice, Elephant Man, Ben-Hur, the T-800, and Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop, Bill Kilgore from Apocalypse Now, that's Rambo from Rambo, and then Forrest Gump and the Iron Giant. And I got a few cars, Christine, the DeLorean, the Love Beetle, and the Spinner from Blade Runner. Those are a few environments so far. Little tiles. And here the Man with No Name, or Blondie from the Dallas trilogy in Sergio Leone, and Valeria from Conan in Madmax as the latest. Thank you. Well, I mean, you know, in order to get somewhere, you just have to do it. You know, it's really not that difficult. You just spend the time, and you just. Unfortunately, there's really no real shortcut for this sort of stuff. You just have to train, and the best way for that is just to really make it. And but I feel like if you're passionate about it, and if you're having fun, I think it's important to have fun. You know, you don't want to put you don't want to set yourself with like super difficult goals, and put I think it's to me, I feel like it's important to, obviously, as an artist or whatever, you want to put a bar for yourself. You know, you look at the stuff that you really like out there, or artists that you like, and you want to try and emulate them and be as good as possible. So I think it's important to have some to set yourself for a goal that is high, but at the same time it can be a little discouraging sometimes. So the best is in the beginning, I think, is not to, and even later, is just to try and have fun really with it. You know, do what you like. If pixel art is something you like, then you do whatever inspires you. You know, whatever makes you, whatever is you're comfortable doing, and then the rest will just follow. You know, naturally. The more you do it, the more you pick up on little things, and at some point, it's just you don't think too much about it. And not to say that it's easy ever, because I still, if you've seen the VODs, or if you see me live, you'll see how much I struggle sometimes. You know, it's just a normal thing. You will get, or you always get to a point where you struggle a bit. You know, but that's fine. It's just part of it. As long as you're confident that you can keep going and eventually get there, then you'll be fine. You know, but just be patient, and don't try to to set yourself up for something too difficult in the beginning, or too ambitious. If you can make a little sprite that looks good, then it's a satisfaction. You'll be happy about that, and then you get they come more easily after a while. You still have moments where doubts and where it just doesn't work. I've had some of those issues for most of these guys. Actually, there's a point where I'm like, ugh, I don't know, and sometimes you're about to give up a little bit, but you know that in the end, if you persist, and you're a little patient, you will get there. And also, I don't know how much experience you have or anything, but I would say it's fine to try and emulate people, if not copy. Straight out copying is fine too in the beginning. I think it will, because then the simple fact of trying to reproduce something, is kind of makes you go through the same journey as the person who did it. You will, as trying to mimic something it sort of forces you to try and understand the choices that are made and why they're made. Because otherwise, if you just look at something, you're not necessarily very analytical about it. You'll be like, oh, that looks good, but you don't really try to, you don't really think about it too much. But if you're trying to reproduce something similar, then you will see this. You will see it coming. You'll be like, oh, that makes sense. I now I understand why you did this way, or why she did this way. Tracing. Well, I think tracing is so here's a good story about tracing. Some people will tell you there's all sorts of opinions about that, but some people will say tracing is cheating, whatever. But if you know an artist that I love, is called Drew Struzan. Drew Struzan, he made all those very famous film posters back in the 80s. He did this that is absolutely incredible. All the Back to the Future posters, that's Drew Struzan. Incredible artist. Back then, still working. Yeah, that's the guy. And he's working all in traditional medium, no digital. He did this. He did a bunch of posters for lots of posters that you've seen back in the days. Now they use Photoshop and all that stuff. He did some Star Wars. He did some Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, Hellboy. Yeah, this is one of my favorite poster for Empire Strikes Back. Really amazing. But anyway, the point is that also he did Blade Runner. Yeah, he's very unapologetic about tracing. He said that he's tracing. So here's him working. So you would think that he's doing everything just by looking at the picture, but he usually traced the faces and everything, and then he would just hairbrush everything and use his paints, to try and capture then the character. And some people got him, gave gave him some negative critics because they thought that he was, tracing is not. But then the question is, how many jurisprudence are there out there. Anyone can trace. You could trace tomorrow and take your airbrush and try to make this poster. Would you be able to do it? You know, would anyone be able to do it? Would anyone would have paid him that much amount of money because he was very well paid to get those posters done? Why would they ask him every single time and not any other guy if it's so easy, you know? And the reason is because there's only one jurisdiction, because he's incredibly talented, and even though he traced, he always brought something of himself into the painting, you know, in the lighting, in the composition, the way he combined different themes and characters into one poster, the way he was able to sum up the whole vibe of an entire film in one picture. It's not easy, you know, and it's not something that you will get by tracing. It's just it's a whole lot of things that get into play. So my position on tracing is it's totally fine. The only thing is I feel like if you trace, you don't really want to get into a position where you trace all the time and you're not comfortable if you can't trace. I feel like tracing is a shortcut to get rid of sometimes of a little bit of a tedious part where you have to get the proportions and everything accurate. The old masters used to trace, you know, they have those systems with those light boxes where they would be able to project on the screen some model, live model, and then they would trace on a silk paper from live. So everyone's done it, and it's been done since art pretty much exists, you know. So it's fine, but I think what's important is to remember that before they got to trace, they did a lot of drawing, and they were confident in their ability to draw. But sometimes you want that extra little step, you know, or you want to the time is a big constraint. So then the tracing helps you to speed up the process. But when they trace, sometimes they will you know, change a little bit of something, or just a bit of a proportion, or, you know, jurisprudence would always change just tiny bit the faces, because then they would feel just a bit more expressive to what he wanted. He would definitely try to match the lighting that he had on a picture, but he would also then probably end up changing a little bit the lighting depending on what he wanted to convey, or if he had several characters that were shot in different lighting conditions or similar lighting conditions, but he wanted to something a little bit more dramatic, then he would combine them, and then he would have to really think about how he would combine all of them in lighting. So my point is, I think that there is a lot of things that you still need to understand in order for your tracing to be efficient. Otherwise, you're not necessarily going to be. It's like understanding, you know, the structure. If you understand the structure of a face, if you understand how lighting works and everything, then the tracing is just a way to get that quicker and a little bit more accurate. But at the same time, sometimes the photo that you're trying to trace, or the model, or whatever you trace, is not perfect either. You know, in any picture, someone makes a little bit of a face, lighting makes a strange shadow below the nose or whatever, and then you feel like this is not the best thing that you could do. So then you're going to change this, you know, hopefully, because you understand what you're looking for. So kind of a bit of a long answer, I guess, but yeah, in a nutshell, I think it's fine as long as you um, you know all the other stuff. I think it's like you know, it's like breaking the rules. You know, you're allowed to break any rule in any sort of a creative form, as long as you've trained yourself into understanding those rules. Then it's easier for you to make those choices. You know, otherwise you're always it's kind of a clutch, you know, that you rely on, and then you can't really you can't free yourself from that. And really, the ultimate goal, I think, as an artist at least, is to be free. You know, free of expressing whatever you want to do, and that's your goal. Right? In some artists today, they express themselves with completely you know, abstract paintings and shapes because that works for them. But they are ultimately free of doing what they want because they are confident in their understanding of what they're looking for. So that just takes a little bit of time. You know, you just have to. But I think if you wanna learn, as long as you do something, whether it is tracing, it's better to trace something and try and put some color in it than not do anything. You know, it's better to always do something. I feel like the more you are behind your computer or in front of your paper or whatever you choose to use, and the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. It's just as simple as that. Who was saying this? I think it was. I can't remember who had this quote, but I can't remember. It was an illustrator, but he was saying basically he was saying. And honestly, I don't think it's entirely true, but the idea is sound. He was saying the guy who paints the more wins, and it is unless you are Frank Frazetta and you can bang a masterpiece on a cardboard with a few paints that you have left in a couple of hours and then play ball. Unless you're that guy and you're born with it. Your best bet is to train yourself, you know, and I think Rodney, I think it was Rodney Matthews. I think no, it was Boris Vallejo who said most people don't want to suffer, and thus stop short of fulfilling their dreams. And that's pretty much what it is. It comes down to your ability to just stick to it, you know, when even when it feels a little difficult. And having fun is a big part of it. I think if you want to become good at painting, you paint, and if you want to become good at running, you run. It's as simple as that, really. But tracing, yeah, I think it's fine. It's totally fine. Anything is fine to me. I have no problem. You can photo bash if you want. You can do anything. I think there is no. I will never condemn an artist for taking shortcuts and trying to make something work by any means, because that's what I think. It never. At the end of the day, it's still when you create something, I feel it's always a series of choices you're making. When you photo bash and you take up a few photos and you try to combine them into something, you have to make choices. If I give a set of photographs, of 5 photographs, you know, a couple of characters and an environment or whatever, and I'm asking 10 different artists with various levels of experience to combine them together into one picture, I can guarantee you that some of them will be a lot better than others. because some artists will make the right choices, and some others, because either the lack of experience or whatnot, they may not make the same decisions, you know. So there's always no matter what you use, you're always confronted to using your brain, you know, and your gut feeling, and making those decisions. So yeah, you know, men started to paint on cave walls with their fingers because they had no other choice, you know. And then we started to use paint and pigments, and then brushes, and then people started to paint on this on canvas, and then later on airbrush came, and people said it's cheating because you know, you don't really paint, it's airbrushing. And then the computer came in, and people said that it's cheating because you're doing it in the computer. And then after that, people started to use photographs, and then they said it's cheating because you use photographs and you should paint everything from scratch in the computer. There's no end to it. You will always find someone to tell you that you know, there's a pure way of doing things, but I certainly don't believe in any of this. I think as long as you make something out of anything, you create something. You know, that's it. It's just simple as that. So yeah, pixel art is just another form of making something. You know, and you've probably seen in the videos that sometimes I'll start from scratch, and sometimes I'll take a picture, you know, shrink it down and try and paint on top or whatever seems the best approach at that moment, I will use. You know, I'll never and I'll show it on stream. I don't care, you know, because I'm trying to make things work. That's all there is to it, you know, by any means. Why would you not use all the means that you have at your disposal, and all the tools that the modern tools that you have now, you know? So yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's funny because it's kind of a conversation that I had with several people over the years. Because it seems like it's a recurrent conversation, you know. Every time there's a new technology or a new thing, like 3D is another example, you know. People will say, well, you know, if you're making a 3D model and you paint on top, then you don't know perspective, you're not an artist, whatever. Well, but the computer knows the perspective, so you can trust it, you know, and you still had to model this. And then people will say, well, but you know, you didn't model it, you used you know, whatever model that was already done. And then okay, but then you had to pose it, and then I'll be like, well, you used a pretty fine pose. Well, I had to choose the pose that I wanted, and I had to set up the camera to in order to express what I wanted. So there's always a choice that you make anyway, and I think that's the essence of you know, creating something or being an artist. It's not really about slaving for hours and hours on end on something technical. It's about having a good idea in I guess triggering some kind of a response from the people who are, you know, watching whatever you've done. So that's I think that's how I see it, at least. Yeah. Anyway, I think everyone's gonna fall asleep now. They're gonna be like, oh, he's gonna like keep going with this forever. Yeah, I think that's one more. How many now do we have? 37. Okay. 37. I think I'll probably stop around 100 or something. Oh, sure. Yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, everyone is always welcome to ask questions. And again, don't take my word for it. Something that I kind of want to stress out is that in the end, whatever works for you works for you. You know, you may end up coming to completely different conclusions when you are doing your own thing, and that's perfectly fine. I think I'm just giving you my really my take on it, but it's very personal journey, you know, making art or whatever. It's very personal in the end, and some people get there by so many different various convoluted ways, and but they still end up being going where they want to go, you know. So as long as you're happy, I think, and that's really what matters. Don't get too caught into careful. I would say careful of um, forums and you know, critique from people. It's good to have a I think don't get me wrong, I think it's good to listen to feedback and have external opinion on what you're doing. But be cautious with it. You know, don't let people drive you into whatever you don't want to do. And even if they think what you do makes no sense, then at the end of the day, it is you're making it. You know, no one else. So that's I think that's quite important. But I think it's good to have feedback because I was saying often I think one of the hard things as an artist is to be able to judge your own work, you know, because you're just emotionally attached to it. It's just natural, so it's a bit difficult sometimes to be you know objective. You have like a bit of a subjective way view on it, so it's just something to sometimes it's helpful to get I think it's good for when you ask for feedback to look at what comes often in what is very factual. You know, if 5 people tell you this is how I feel about this, and it's a very objective fact, like I feel like this guy looks like you know, he's not very I don't know, you're making some kind of action scene, and people say, I don't know, this guy looks stiff or whatever, and then several people tell you this, then you may want to think about it, you know, and why. But if people tell you, oh, I don't like what you've done with this because I don't like the colors or whatever, you know, then that's not a feedback. Feedback needs to be more properly formulated. You know, there has to be some reasoning behind it. And I think a good feedback usually is like that. It's pretty factual, and it's very and it's informed, and it's explained. So so don't get too rattled if people say, I just don't like it, sucks. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything really, nothing, you know. As well as good feedback is cool, but if people say I love it, then yeah, it's good, you know. It's nice it's a nice feeling, but the best is when people can tell you I love it because of this and that, because then that helps you to understand if you've achieved what you wanted. Because sometimes you touch people for all the wrong reasons, you know. It happens to me all the time. I do something, and then I realize that people they like it for all the reasons that I didn't think about. But you learn from that too, so it's good to have some feedback, but also it's also a self-training to be able to determine what you messed up and why by yourself. So anyway, 3 hours 30 minutes. I think I'm probably gonna close it on this very philosophical reflection on art and everything. And what are you doing yourself? How many raindrops do you paint? What is it that you're trying to do? You want to make pixel art for a game or something? I'm a bit curious now. Oh, actually, you should add a shadow on this guy. It's the usual, It's the tradition. Maybe we'll add a little bit of something for the dog. Oops. Oh, very cool. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Pixel art, I think, is a good, is a very good training school, so to speak, because you can, it's relatively quick to do, so you can really make a lot of mistakes very quickly. Oftentimes people say it's about failing soon and failing often, and I think it's very true. The more you do things and quickly, the better the more situations you encounter, various diverse situations in terms of creative. The more you build your skills into solving those problems. So pixel art is great for that, because you can really mess up really quickly and then fix it very quickly as well. And you don't have to go through the big painstaking illustration that takes forever to set up and all that stuff. So it's but all the sort of basic art principles remain the same, really. I mean, it's just condensed, and also what's great with I think pixel art is that it forces you to make really hard choices, because just the nature of it, you can't really render the crap out of something. It's just there's just not that many pixels to do it. So it forces you to make choices that are sometimes a bit difficult. It's and be very decisive. So because I think in traditional illustration, or like more normal illustrations, you could spend a lot of time rendering things, and sort of hiding behind the rendering, but you haven't really a strong foundation. But pixel art, it forces you to have a strong foundation, because if you don't have it, like, and by foundation I mean the right pose, say, or proportions or color or values. If you don't have it, then you can't render, so there's no place to hide. You're really you're left out to dry. So so that's why I think pixel art is actually very good. So and also, if you're making a game, it's really a safe bet, because it's just otherwise, if you're gonna make a game, a full-on 3D game and everything, it's just very overwhelming. Just the sheer amount of work. If you're just the two of you, it's pretty tricky. Any game is difficult to do as it is, so you don't want to put yourself into a situation where just making the art would take several years. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool that you're doing this. Yeah, and if you want to send links sometimes, or show what you're doing, you don't have to, obviously, of course, but if you feel like you want to share it, then feel free to, it's totally fine. Because I think the more people I'd like here this the channel eventually to be a place where people feel safe to show their stuff and talk about it too, and it's just not about just what I'm doing. It's also about what other people are doing, so that everyone can sort of learn a little bit about all that. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, Reddit is good for that. I mean, Reddit, it's good and bad. I think it's good because you get a bit of exposure and stuff, but at the same time, it's sometimes what I was saying about the comments. I think generally people are fine, but once in a while you get the really weird feedback, and you're like, what? But yeah, but that, I guess that's all forums and all places are like that. Yeah, I'll check I'll check what you're doing on Reddit. Check it out. Always interested to see what people do. I've seen so many artists doing so many interesting things too. Very different styles, some of them, which is cool. I feel like you see. I mean, I guess it's like any other thing, but recently I think I've seen a lot of a good pixel art that is not the same sort of chibi little character that you've seen a million times, if you know what I mean. I feel like I've seen people trying things that are a bit different, and that are definitely their own thing, which is always appreciate personally. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go because yeah, I think I'm done with the Max here. Probably, like as usual, tomorrow I'll wake up, I'll look at it, and probably see things that I don't quite like. Maybe I'll change it a little bit, but for the most part, I think it's done. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here. Thanks to you, How Many Raindrops, for the follow and the chat, and then I hope you'll be able to catch the stream next time. I understand that the time is not the best, but worst case, you always have the VODs that you can watch whenever you want. They stay 2 months up, I think, and then they go away. But eventually, I think I'm gonna post time lapses on YouTube. But it just takes a little bit of editing and stuff, and that's added workload. So I haven't really found the time to do it, but I think I want to try and do it at some point. So that's going to be another opportunity to see that stuff, a little faster. Anyway, thanks everyone. I'll see you guys back on Monday. It's going to be the same thing next week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 nights a week at 9 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll keep doing characters. Maybe on Monday I'll change and maybe do environmental or something, because I feel like I've done a lot of characters recently, so maybe I'll give it a bit of a change for once. Anyway, you guys have a good weekend. Rest, create something, have fun. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you. Bye.